explained this morning that strychnine is a paralytic, no? It's for the spinal cord, and it causes involuntary and painful muscle spasms that it can even cause lockjaw. No? Okay. Cantharides or cantharides, no? It causes blister formation. And then you have oxalic acid, whitened mucous membrane. Oxalic acid, another name for this is oxalate. Diba? So these oxalates are white precipitates and they are insoluble. Your body cannot dissolve it completely into solution. So the danger there would be when they will accumulate in the mucous membrane. And since they are white precipitates, your mucous membrane will now be whitened. So you connect lang. Acetic acid, ito, scalded appearance of the mouth. Alam niyo yung vinegar, di ba? Dati, punong-puno, malaking, mataas ang concentration ng acetic acid in previous formulations of vinegar. That's why you have whitened, no, scalded appearance of the mouth when you have you have been exposed to acetic acid. But now, the concentration of acetic acid in vinegar has been reformulated to become lower in concentration. So, yan. Phenol, white stains on lips. And then when it's exposed to the air, no, oxidized, it will become brown. So, phenol. Formalin, this one, reddening of the mucous membrane of mouth and eyes, and then hardening of mucosa with hemorrhage. So formalin is what you use as embalming fluid. So the thing there, it hardens the mucosa or hardens the membranes. So that's why the deceased are stiff, no, because of formalin. Copper. So mild GI irritation with green stains. So you can also associate copper with green because in the previous slides there are changes caused by copper, no, and it will change into green. So for copper, there will be mild GI irritations with green stains. So what I know is the Statue of Liberty was previously colored copper, no, and now it's colored green because of the patina. No, it's exposed to air, so that's green. Okay. Phosphorus, fatty degeneration of liver and kidneys. And cantharides, again, or cantharides, there's inflammation of the kidneys with bleeding. All right, those are the symptomatic evidence. We now go to the detection of poison. So I'll still give you um, tables for you to fully arrange it in your brain. No? There's tests, poisons, and some important notes we have to remember. So for Pilstein test, you detect, what do you detect there? You detect chlorine. And then the effect there would have green flame. Okay, so you revisit this on your copy of the slides. Benzoate gunning, you have to detect, yeah, you will use that test, no? So benzoate gunning test, bromine water test, you have brown ring, no, etc. So let's just emphasize here in bromine water test, you have the substance that you want to detect is aniline, correct? No, bromine water test. And what will happen is it will give you a flesh-colored power up. I always mistake PPT as PowerPoint. No, precipitate, flesh-colored precipitate. And that precipitate is tribromoaniline. Okay, tribromoaniline. And then another thing is Liebens or Liebens iodoform. And then you have to use it for detection of methanol. Because if there's methanol, the endpoint there would be yellow precipitate. And you might be asked, what's that yellow precipitate? The answer is iodoform. So Marsh test, we know this already. You have to detect it for arsenic. And the note here I put there is mirror-like precipitate soluble in sodium hypochlorite. So the mirror-like precipitate, that's your shiny metallic ring. And what's that? That's the elemental arsenic. Okay, so your sodium hypochlorite, that's hypo. It's commonly referred to as bleach. So your elemental arsenic is soluble in hypochlorite, sodium hypochlorite. It's a weak base. Okay. So what another thing I want to emphasize in this, I want to discuss in this slide is your modified Duquesnoy. Modified Duquesnoy test for marijuana. And it elicits a red color. That's your THC on TLC. What does that mean? Diba? The active um, um, part, no? Or active, what do you say this? Ingredient, no? The active component, rather, of marijuana that causes your addiction is tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. And when you use it, when you use TLC, or what you call in QC as thin layer chromatography, you remember? When you put THC on your thin layer chromatography, the effect there, it will elicit red color. And then that means it's positive for marijuana. So last there would be Nestler or Nestler's reagent. Okay, it's a good question, no? Nestler's reagent. And then what is it? It's mercuric potassium iodide. Okay? And then when you test it with chloroform, it will form a yellow precipitate. That is iodoform. You can see naman na ang reagent, it has iodine. And then your poison there would be chloroform. That's why it forms iodoform. No? And its color is yellow precipitate. Let's go to the next detection of poisons. So you have Nylander or Nylander, no? The Nylander test. So it will give you a positive result or a negative result of bismuth. It will detect the presence of bismuth. If it's a positive result, you will get a white precipitate. And what's that white precipitate? Bismuth subnitrate. Okay. What else? Prussic acid, picrate. Oh, ito. The test is picrate. We can think of it as picric acid. No? Di ba pag mga oxalate, oxalic acid. Kapag lactate, lactic acid. Kapag picrate, picric acid. So, yung picric acid, ano yung pina-remember ko sa inyo kanina? Pag picric acid, associate niya siya sa yellow. So, yung test na picrate test, it will detect prussic acid. And since I wanted you to associate it with yellow, the endpoint there would be yellow to brick red precipitate. And another test for prussic acid would be Schonben Hagen-Stecher. O, sige. Sabi ko nga, hindi naman tayo pinapa-pronounce sa board exam. Kaya spelling, you familiarize the spelling na lang. Ayan, yung prussic acid, it will give you a deep blue color on a guaiac paper. Ano pa bang gusto kong i-point out dito? Ito, yung Rodilon or Million's test, nasa inorganic chemistry to. It will detect phenol. Now, the endpoint there would be light to dark red color. And that substance is mercurous phenate. Kasi yun na yung product ng inyong mga reagent and your poison. Ayan. Tollens test for reducing substances. Mirror-like precipitate, that's your elemental silver. And xanthogenate test, it will detect carbon disulfide, CS2, carbon disulfide. Itong carbon disulfide kasi, it's used in many industries. Okay? So it's used to make rubber, viscose rayon para sa mga damit, no? Cellophane, and your carbon tetrachloride. Carbon disulfide is a component, no, that will create carbon tetrachloride when added to other substances. So some examples kasi ng carbon disulfide, na yung mga workers at risk being exposed to carbon dioxide kasi, disulfide rather, kasi yung factory workers who work with rubber, no? where it is made and processed. So what will happen? Your xanthogenate test, you have your xanthogenate na reagents dyan, and then you will add the carbon disulfide. There will be a release of your hydrogen sulfide, also known as sewer gas, swamp gas, grabe, stink damp, and sour damp. So you can just imagine that it has a pungent smell. But it's a colorless gas, okay? And it's known for its pungent, rotten egg odor. Okay, so by now you already know how to associate sulfur with rotten egg odor. So even at low concentrations, it can give that effect. Okay. Kasi naman, si hydrogen sulfide, it's produced in oil gas refining, yung mga mining. Parang it can really cause some complications. It's highly toxic and extremely flammable. Okay. So, last slide for detection. Marquis or Marquis, ayan, test and range test or range. Ayan, so just see the spelling, okay? So poisons, common drugs for abuse may be detected with Marquis test. So you have their dark purple or black when you want to detect ecstasy or propoxyphene. If you see orange to brown discoloration, you can say, oh, it could be amphetamine or it could be methamphetamine. Kapag red naman, aspirin, no? It could be aspirin. Yan. So range test for heavy metals. You have there dull black, purple black, shiny black for bismuth, silvery for mercury. No? And it needs confirmation via AAS. Ano naman yung AAS? Okay, AAS is your atomic absorption spectroscopy. So this goes hand in hand with your quality control, QC. AAS is atomic absorption spectroscopy. Now this one can test for metals in whole blood, or it could be the plasma lang, or sa urine, saliva, sa brain, sa muscle tissue, the liver, and even the hair. So you see there na when you test it with range test or range test, you will get a shiny black effect, no? Shiny black endpoint, and you can say bismuth. But in the slide, it says needs confirmation via AAS, atomic absorption spectroscopy. Ano nga yung full name ni ecstasy? 'Di ba? 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, or in acronym niya is MDMA. Okay, ito quick topic lang on diagnosis of poison. So there would be 4 elements of diagnosis. You have to know the cause. What kind of poison is it? You have to know the poison organism. Tao ba siya? What kind of, like male or female? Because reproductive toxicity is also a factor. What strain, or is it an animal ba ang victim? And then you see the effect. Injury to cells, or meron bang cyanosis, ganon. Or what's a consequence? You can see the signs and symptoms. And then, there could be death na on this one. All right. So, diagnosis. Ano nga ulit tong diagnosis? So, this is the evaluation of signs and symptoms of a disease or dysfunction to arrive at a cause. Now, yung diagnosis of poisoning is a difficult task. No? You have to really extract the information and be observant. So you have to give, your clinical examination will give some valuable clues that can help narrow the differential diagnosis. Because the problem here, like for example, I told you earlier na yellow yung appearance ni patient. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the patient was poisoned, no, with picric acid or nitric acid, because that's what I told you that gives out yellow skin discoloration. Because there could be a reason na baka naman jaundice lang talaga si patient. So yun, you have to diagnose if it's poisoning or not. Before that, How do you diagnose? No? You need clinical history, physical examination, and analytical evidence. Itong tatlong to lang. CPA, clinical history. Yun nga, kung may liver cirrhosis naman pala si patient, kaya jaundice. No? So, you can rule out picric acid na. Meaning, tanggalin niya na siya. Physical examination and analytical evidence. For clinical history, you perform a thorough general history of the patient, and it aids in the effective treatment of intoxication. Pero ang mga notes ng mga authors, sabi daw kasi everybody lies. Kaya it's now a test on whoever can properly extract the information. This one is also helpful in your hospital pharmacy and clinical pharmacy. So, what could be the essential and helpful information on how to what could be included? Your 5 Ws and 2H, going back to the basics. Who, what, when, where, why? No, why naman ininom mo yung poison? No, and how did you inom the poison? Is it parenteral? Is it tawag dito? Is it per orem and all those subcutaneous? And the last H, what could it be? It would say how much or the quantity of how many grams or milligrams did the patient ingest or the victim ingest. Okay. So pre-existing conditions or allergies, medications or substances currently used, and also for is the patient pregnant. So in clinical history, if symptomatic, no problem, you have to immediately transport to a healthcare facility with the original container or poison. So you bring the poison, when someone, no, huwag naman sana, no, pag may poison na poisoning incident that you will witness, and then you know that it's really because of poisoning, no, it's symptomatic, you have to bring that victim to the healthcare facility with the container so that it can undergo investigation there. If asymptomatic, paano yun? You have no clinical evidence that it's really poisoning. So you have to obtain ample information. And itong ample na to, it's an acronym. No? You have to take the age and allergies. You have to take the medications na information of the patient. And then the past history. And then L would be the time of last meal. Because you can trace it na baka kung ingestion, dun na time na yun na ingest ni patient. And then letter E, events leading to present condition. Clinical history, next would be physical examination. So a thorough examination of the patient is required to assess the patient's condition. Clinical signs examined refer to, ayun, yung symptomatic evidence na pinag-usapan natin earlier, no? Yung mga skin discoloration, urinary changes, and all those. So most symptoms of poisoning kasi, like vomiting, because your body is rejecting the foreign substance. Convulsions when it's a stimulant. Coma when it's a depressant. Dilatation or contraction of the pupils, or slow or rapid respiration. Delirium, nako naman, dyspnea and cyanosis are almost symptoms of diseases. So you have to consider, no, if it's a disease or it was really poison. Last one, clinical history, physical evidence. Now we get to analytical evidence. Ito yung common proof. Kasi kapag lumabas na sa labs, dumaan na sa machine, you can really detect it. No? So this is the important part. Ayan, no? The common proof of poisoning lies in the detection of a significant amount of toxic material in the body tissues. So, yung analytical evidence, this is the evidence, ito yung mga chemical or mga laboratories. You already got that sa laboratory. So, in summary, no, oftentimes it is difficult to make the diagnosis. So, here are the following rules. No, 3 lang naman to. Are frequently of great value in distinguishing poison from disease. So how would you know? So to distinguish poisoning from disease, in cases of poisoning, number 1, the symptoms usually appear suddenly, even when the patient is in good health. No? So okay lang dyan, gym lang, ganyan, good health, no? Macho, ganyan. Tapos, biglang, nag-collapse. Bakit kaya? Kasi pala, no, na poison pala siya ng kanyang mga protein supplement, ganyan. May nahalo na mga toxicant. So yun, the symptoms usually appear suddenly even when the patient is in good health. That's a sign of poisoning and not just pathological, no? Could be, could be. Doesn't conclude, but yun nga, you have to do the diagnosis. Okay, number two, in cases of poisoning, the symptoms commonly make their appearance after taking food or drinking medicine. Kaya yung mga food poisoning, no, minsan pag pareho kayo ng kinain, sabay-sabay kayong elicit ng symptoms ng food poisoning. Kasi there would be an onset pa. So, they commonly make their appearance after taking food, drink, or medicine. May reason talaga bakit ganyan yung response mo. Number three, if several persons are taking the same food or drink, they show similar symptoms. So, yun nga, kung madami kayong kumain sa birthday na yun, tapos biglang nung kinabukasan, lahat kayo absent kasi nagka-diarrhea, LPM, you can pinpoint no, na it could be poisoning. Could be. Several persons are taking the same food or drink and then they show LBM tomorrow na mga signs and symptoms. Okay. One chapter in this module would be what you call adverse drug reactions. The acronym is ADR. So, balik tayo sa definition because ito, this is how PACOP defines it, and it's now the accepted definition here in the Philippines, no? And they really use distinct words, which when you read it once, pwedeng sabihin nyo, adverse drug reactions to. But you have to analyze the entire sentence. Okay, so let's do it, no? Response to a drug which is noxious. So noxious is harmful, no? And unintended. So you did not intend to cause them rashes or anaphylactic reaction, diba? And which occurs at doses normally used in man for prophylaxis, diagnosis or therapy of disease, or for the modification of physiologic function. So meaning, it's just the normal dose, no? The doses normally used in man for cure, for treatment, and all those. So sabihin natin, 500 milligrams. Paracetamol pa din yung example ko. Or let's say, for example, yung vaccine, alam niyo yung first rollout ng vaccine, no? Or yung, huwag na lang tayo mag-ano ng brand, no? So pag nung nag-vaccine kayo, no, so okay lang. Ganun, may mga konting kailangan lang ng rest. Yung iba naman, may reports talaga na nag-rashes sila. Tapos yung iba, kailangan isugod sa ospital, ganun. So, iba-iba yung kanilang reaction. And that is what we call adverse drug reaction. Kasi normal dose lang naman. Yun lang, di ba? Isang injection or ilang ml ba yan ng vaccine. Bakit yung iba may violent reactions sila doon? Yung iba, okay lang naman, no? Because it's noxious, no? Meaning it's harmful and it's unintended effect. Okay? That's your adverse drug reactions. There are 6 types of adverse drug reactions. That's your A, B, C, D, E, F for ADR. And sunod-sunod yan, no? A, and it's all in my slides na naman, no? So dose-related, A, it's augmented. B, yan, bizarre, no? Type B, non-dose related. Kasi hindi mo ma-pinpoint. No? You can't say na it's about the dose. Kasi bakit siya nagka-reaction ng ganun kung low lang naman yung dose. So non-dose related siya. It's bizarre. You can't really determine. Idiosyncratic. Number 3, chronic naman siya. Dose related kasi it's accumulating. And time related, as time passes by, you give out an adverse drug reaction, and that's your chronic na adverse drug reaction na type. Next type would be time-related, delayed. No? So time-related, meaning, example nun would be asbestos ulit. No? So factory workers in, let's say, the 80s, or I don't know the year. 20 years later, no, they discovered na they are developing cancer. meron pala silang cancer because of their exposure 20 years ago. So, delayed siya na adverse drug reaction. Withdrawal and of use, no, some people would experience adverse drug reactions na parang dahil sa withdrawal, magkaka-rashes sila, no, mag-urticaria sila, no, mga hives. Kasi their body is needing something, no, or something na rejecting, no, undergoing some kind of change. So, nagka-adverse drug reactions sila after the end of use. And number 6, failure of therapy. The body is really rejecting. Let's say, for example, adverse drug reactions. Alam niyo yung kidney transplant? Pag nag-kidney transplant kayo, bibigyan kayo ng bagong kidney. So, iisipin ng body, uy, may foreign cells. I-attack ko kaya ito. Diba? Kasi hindi mo naman kidney yun. Sa ibang taong kidney yun. Tapos nilagay mo, ikinonect mo sa sarili mo. It's now a foreign cell. So, ano bang natural instinct ng body? To attack foreign cells. That's why we administer immunocompromising na mga medications for kidney transplant patients. Para hindi attack ng body yung kanilang new kidney. You get it? Pero, ang point ko dito kasi, minsan yung body natin, nire-reject talaga nila yung kidney. Kahit nakita na, uy, match kayo, di ba ganun yun? Match kayo ng kidneys. Pero, in the end, mag-failure, no? ng therapy. So, yun. Parang example na lang, some kind of illustration yun, na pagdating sa drugs, adverse drug reactions, may failure of therapy naman, na gustong ibigay ito na medication, but then the body rejects it and produces adverse drug reactions. Okay? So, 6 types, A, B, C, D, E, F, no? Augmented, bizarre, chronic, delayed, end of use, and failure of therapy. So, following your ADR, kailangan ng reporting. So, ayun. Meron tayong mga templates nito, mga formats, and we submit it to the FDA. Your pharmacovigilance, this is a relatively new topic. No? Pero may mas new pa ngayon yung pharmacogenomics I mentioned kanina. So yung pharmacovigilance, I think this is just 10 years ago or ilang years pa ba na na-coin itong term na ito dito sa Philippines. No? Or dumating dito sa Philippines yung idea ng pharmacovigilance. So this one is the signs and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects or any other medicine or vaccine-related problem. So yun nga, vigilance. You have to be vigilant, tagabantay ng mga adverse drug reactions. Anong gagawin? Excuse me. You have to collect information if there would be adverse drug reactions experienced by the medication post-market. No? So after na-release na yung medication. And what do you do with that information if you want to collect it? You have to report. Report it to the FDA para ma-actionan, no? Para what will happen is they will reformulate, ganun, or kapag nakita na it's harmful to 16 years old na mga bata and below, so the next batch, they will add there na should not be given to less than 16 years old, mga ganun. Kaya it's ADR reporting is really essential, or what we call pharmacovigilance. So ano ba ang dapat i-report? Yung mga serious adverse reactions, all adverse reactions related to newly introduced medicines and vaccines, medication errors. No? So your medication errors, this is more tackled in your clinical pharmacy, yung category A to I. Lack of efficacy, overdose, and off-label use that resulted to serious adverse reactions, and adverse reactions suspected to be related to a product defect. Product defect kasi minsan may mga batches lang talaga or mga lot numbers na yun lang yung may contamination, yun lang yung may defect talaga. So what will happen is FDA will read that report and possibly recall all of the same batches nung medication na yan. So, number 1 doon na kailangang i-report are all serious na mga events. So, on this slide, let's see ano yung mga adverse reactions that are considered serious if they result in any of the following. Okay, so it could result in death, no? This could be life-threatening, or it could cause hospitalization or prolonged hospital stay, involve a persistent disability or incapacity or congenital anomaly. Oh, yung sa thalidomide, di ba? There's a congenital anomaly there. So, kailangan sana pharmacovigilance yun dati. No? Ni-report nila. Other medically important events like requiring medical intervention to prevent any of the above outcomes. So we now know about the ADR reporting. What's the purpose? Yun nga, I've said some about it na naman, no? Na kailangan the identification of previously unrecorded or unrecognized rare or serious side effects. Say, bawal nga sa 16-year-old or below. So, kailangan ipahin na. So, letter B, yan nga, changes in product safety, information or labeling. So they have to add there, not to be administered to 16 years old and below. Ganun. Or other regulatory actions such as product recall, yun, and or removal from the market. So grabe no, removal from the market na talaga. Ayan. So example dyan would be Cytotec. Cytotec is a brand name. Generic name is misoprostol. That's a very strong abortifacient. No, that's why it's really blacklisted, banned in the Philippines. If you will really see Cytotec and Cytotec brand name, misoprostol generic name in the Philippines, that means it was purchased through the black market. No? Kasi nga banned talaga siya dito because it's a potent abortifacient, yung Cytotec. So, ayun, they, kung may pharmacovigilance na nung time na yun, no, it would be reported and there would be a removal from the market, which is successfully removed na naman siya by now. Yun nga, if may makita kayong Cytotec misoprostol around, it means it's been purchased through black market. Okay. Letter C, international data regarding benefit, risk, or effectiveness assessment of medicines and vaccines. Yan sa example ko na nagpa-vaccine, yung iba okay lang naman, kailangan lang itulog, no? Yung iba naman, nagka-rashes, nag-anaphylactic shock, kailangang isugod sa hospital. So yun, then those information would now be added to the yun nga, information or data regarding the benefit, risk, or effectiveness of those vaccines. Okay, another chapter for Module 4 would be drug incompatibilities. Kaya nga, our topic for today is toxicology, ADR, and and incompatibilities. Okay, so for drug incompatibilities, this is defined as a change now resulting in the formation of an undesirable product, which may affect the safety, efficacy, appearance, and stability of the pharmaceutical product. I'll give you the examples later on. So this describes preventable or reversible precipitation or insolubility. Now, in contrast, no, instability describes degradation, such as hydrolysis, oxidation, covalent chemical reactions that may be slowed but not stopped. Again, yung ating incompatibility, kasi, it's described as something that can be prevented or can be reversed, no? Precipitation, like insolubility. Tapos, yung instability naman, it pertains to something na you really cannot bring back to the original state, no? Hindi mo na maibabalik yung instability. Kasi nag-hydrolysis na-oxidize na, paano mo pa ibabalik? Ayun, di ba? So, yun, instability. Okay? So, yun. Yung incompatibility, this may occur during compounding. So, you have your other module for compounding, di ba? Formulation, and then you have your manufacturing, packaging, dispensing, storage, and administration of drugs. So, lahat dito ng mga steps na to, there could be an incompatibility that may occur. Okay? So there are three types of incompatibilities that we will be talking about ngayon. Starting with physical, and then chemical, and then therapeutic. Okay? So start tayo sa physical. And nakikita nyo naman sa picture, di ba? Na parang may mga discolorations, tapos yung isa nag-breaking na. No? So there could be an incompatibility as to the excipients. Ano nga yung excipients? Ito yung inactive part, no? Mga binders, yung mga expanders, vehicle, sa dosage forms na yun, no? So yun, excipients. So kailangan pala i-determine nyo din yung compatibility doon. Okay. Starting with physical incompatibility, diba? Physical, chemical, therapeutic. Starting with physical incompatibility, ito, when two or more than two substances are combined, a physical change takes place and an unacceptable product is formed. Ayan, nakikita niyo sa picture na merong hiwalay siya. Okay? There is a difference in the appearance, smell, or simple display of a sample of matter without a change in composition. So physical change lang siya, no? You can see it with the naked eye. Kasi if it's in a chemical molecular level na change, incompatibility, that's now a chemical incompatibility. So let's start. Insoluble siya. Physically, they cannot be mixed together. Inability of a solute to dissolve in a particular solvent system. So solute is solid, solvent is liquid. What will happen? Your solute cannot be dissolved. The table on the right side, you have encountered this in your dosage forms. You also have this in Ansel, the dosage forms author, the Ansel book. Basically, this is what we call the descriptive solubility. When I lecture about dosage forms, I always tell the students, there's no other way for me to teach you this descriptive solubility but for you to memorize. Kasi isa to sa mga kinukuhanan talaga ng questions. So that's for your dosage forms na study naman. For toxicology and compatibilities, we just have to know na yung insolubility is an example of your physical incompatibility. And the majority of incompatibilities is due to this insolubility of an organic as well as organic compounds in particular solvents. So ito, I want you to remember na there is, let's say, the solute, di ba? Solute is a solid one. Ang solute kasi, it could be dissolved in one type of solvent, but it could be insoluble naman sa another type of solvent. So yun, relative, solubility. So itong itong table na to, that's descriptive solubility for us to effectively describe in the pharmacy world kung yung solute na yun, gaano siya ka-soluble. Nakuha. So yun nga, very soluble. Kapag 1 part lang ng solute, less than 1 ml ng inyong solvent ay na-dissolve agad. No? Pero pag practically insoluble talaga, so imagine 1 gram of your solute, tapos nakita nyo, practically insoluble dyan, 10,000 ml of the medication, the solvent, Parang isipin nyo, 10 liters, tas 1 gram lang konti, hindi talaga ma-dissolve. We describe it as practically insoluble. Kaya nga descriptive solubility. So memorize nyo yan, magagamit nyo yan sa dosage forms. Okay? So ito, still under insolubility, we have here dehydration or salting out. This is where, when this happens, okay? So again, yung dehydration or salting out, this happens when a slightly soluble non-electrolyte, and there would be a soluble electrolyte. Sige lang, you have copies of this naman. When you mix them together, ang nangyayari, nag-decrease ang solubility ng non-electrolyte. Meaning, magpe-precipitate out. No? Okay? nag-decrease ang solubility. So, solid-solid pa siya. Precipitate out siya. Example dyan would be your acacia mucilage, no? Plus ethanol. And it will cause acacia precipitate, no? Ayan. So, pag sinabi mucilage, gum in water. Okay. Temperature change. Ano namang nangyayari dito? Pag endothermic tsaka exothermic, you've learned this on your first year sa chemistry pa, di ba? Or even sa high school pa. Endothermic, no? Sa loob lang, no? It requires hot or warm temperatures to dissolve. Pag exothermic naman, it requires cool or cold temperatures to dissolve. So there are the examples on the slide, no? Pag endothermic, potassium iodide. Pag boric acid, that's endothermic. And then your exothermic. Yan, so mga calcium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide. Okay, that's all for insolubility. Let's proceed to another type of physical incompatibility. So I hope you're still with me. We're down to our last hour, no? So physical incompatibilities, yung immiscibility. Ano naman tong immiscibility na to? Meaning, it cannot be mixed. Kaya nga, miscibility. It cannot be mixed. So, pag insolubility, solute tsaka solvent, kapag immiscibility, solvent tsaka solvent, oo, dalawang liquid yung sa immiscibility. Two or more ingredients are combined, resulting in a non-homogeneous product. This manifestation appears clearly in emulsions, creams, lotions, and some types of ointments. Ano bang gusto natin, no? Yung homogeneous product kasi, meaning it has one appearance lang, one look. Yung nasa illustration, yan ay non-homogeneous product. Ang dami niyang layers, no? Hindi isang face. Separation in two phases is noticed in this pharmaceutical dosage forms. No? Storage must be in room temperature to prevent separation. Again, we're in the topic of incompatibilities na ha. That's another chapter for your module 4. So insolubility, immiscibility. So immiscibility when two or more liquids cannot be mixed together or create a homogeneous solution. Third one would be precipitation. Ayan, in the illustration that I'm showing to you, you can see the solution. Then you add the solute there, or the another solvent, kaya, no, but it will cause precipitation, no? So what will happen? The precipitate would be the, what do you call this? The solid substance, no, below, precipitate, no, sedimentation sa baba. Tapos, ano naman yung water sa taas? Do not forget that it is called supernate. Okay, so definition of terms din, ah. Ayan. So, precipitation, solubilized substances may precipitate from the solution if non-solvent for the substances is added to the solution. So, magpe-precipitate tuloy. No, hindi lang siya immiscible. Kasi pag immiscible, no, hindi siya mag-mix and create a homogeneous mixture. Pag precipitation, nag-create pa siya ng physical or solid na mga, yun nga, precipitate, like solid na sediment. Deliquefaction, okay, so for hygroscopic and deliquescent. Ayan, liquefaction. It's a physical incompatibility. When certain low melting point solids are mixed together, a liquid of soft mass known as eutectic mixture. Ito paulit-ulit tong eutectic mixture sa kung ano-ano yung mga topics, no? Eutectic mixture is produced. This occurs due to the lowering of the melting point of the mixture to below room temperature and liberation of hydrates. So, sabi nila, in layman's term, yung eutectic mixture daw, may dalawang substances na low melting point or mga iba-iba sila ng melting point. When mixed together, you create a eutectic mixture, and what do we mean by that? Yung yung melting point nila together daw is lower than their individual na mga melting points. That's why it's termed as eutectic mixture daw. Okay, just to simplify. So examples na nag-undergo ng liquefaction, we have camphor, menthol, phenol, thymol, chloral hydrate, aspirin, and sodium salicylates. So meron tayong concept of hygroscopic, deliquescent, and we also have their efflorescent. Kaya nga, iba naman yung effervescent. No? Pag effervescent granules, effervescent tablets, yun yung nag-re-release ng, ano yun, carbon dioxide. Yung Berocca, yung Fluimucil, no? Alka-Seltzer, when you add them to water, bubula-bula sila because it releases, ano yun, carbon dioxide. Efflorescent, ano naman yung nire-release? Ayan, no? Releases water for hydration or crystallization. Let's go to hygroscopic and deliquescent. Both of them, excuse me, both of them would absorb moisture. Okay? Ano ba ang difference? But yung deliquescent, nagdi-dissolve. Letter D, deliquescent dissolve. Yan. So, yung deliquescent substances, they absorb moisture to the point that they liquefy or they dissolve in water. So, parang si Olaf, no, na some people are worth melting for. Kaya si deliquescent substance, dissolve siya. Kaya letter D. No? So, it will help you remember. So, for example, table salt. You notice, yung mga table salt nyo, pag open lang sa atmosphere, basa, no? Nagdi-dissolve. Kasi, nag-absorb siya ng moisture from the environment. And it puts it into its body, absorb moisture. Pagkatapos nun, it will dissolve. Yun lang. Just think of salt when you think of deliquescent dissolve. Hygroscopic, ito, very strong si hygroscopic. Ina-absorb niya lang yung moisture, pero walang nangyayari sa kanya. Di ba? So, hindi siya nadi-dissolve. Example, si honey. No? When you expose honey into the atmosphere, nag-absorb daw siya ng moisture, pero hindi siya nagdi-dissolve or nag-change. Okay? Another type of physical incompatibility, vaporization. So, some drugs and pharmaceutical adjuvants possess sufficiently high vapor pressures at room temperature that their volatilization constitutes a major route of drug loss. May mga medications talaga na kailangan, what will happen? You have to keep them in aerosolized containers. Kasi they will volatilize. Sayang naman, there would be a significant drug loss. And flavors whose constituents are mainly ketones, aldehydes, and esters, and co-solvents. Ayan, yung mga low molecular weight alcohols. They may be lost in the formulation in this manner. No? It should be stored in hermetically sealed containers at room temperature. Ano ibig sabihin nitong hermetically sealed? Okay? So hermetically sealed, it's higher than well-closed container. It's higher than airtight container. Bakit? Kasi yung hermetically closed container, it can protect your contents from moisture, from the air, and from other gases. No? Yeah, and so it will not only protect the medication, let's say the medication inside, but it can also protect it from the atmosphere or the other gases that might enter into the container. Kaya hermetically sealed container. Nasa dosage forms nyo din yan. Example ng vaporization would be your nitroglycerin. No, what will happen is it will volatilize at room temperature, leading to drug loss. So, ang remedy doon, pagdating sa glycerin, nitroglycerin, no, you have to add PEG, polyethylene glycol, or MCC. Ano naman MCC? Methyl cellulose, no? Carbomer. Ayan. So, last slide ng physical incompatibilities before tayo magpunta sa chemical incompatibilities. We have polymorphism. I don't know if may slide ba ako dito na nagpapakita ng polymorphism. Wala. Ayan, just to explain lang, yung polymorphism, meaning madaming crystal form or amorphous form yung laman, no, ng inyong um, substance. So this polymorphism, again, it occurs when a chemical compound crystallizes with different internal structures such as different melting points and solubility. So pag polymorphism, when you look at it into a microscope, under a microscope, iba-iba ang shape ng kanyang molecules. Kasi may dalawang main, I hope you're following, we're down to our last 45 minutes. So may countdown. May dalawang main forms ng molecules, no? Shape ng molecules ng medications and drugs. No? So, kaya magagamit nyo sa incompatibilities. Yun yung amorphous tsaka crystalline. Pag sinabing crystalline, alam niyo yung mga crystals, di ba? May mga structure. So, yung crystalline, naka-arrange sila. No? Parang cheerleader na naka-pyramid. Ayan. Properly arranged and organized. So meaning, madaming linkages, no? Yan, madaming linkages. Kailangan ng more energy. Energy. Kailangan ng more energy para ma-break down yung lahat ng mga linkages nila. Kasi naka-arrange siyang mabuti, yung sa crystalline. Yung amorphous naman, meaning wala siyang shape. Para siyang kahit saan lang talaga yung connect-connect niya. No, if you have a quick Google, no, kung ano yung crystalline tsaka amorphous na illustration, you'll see what I mean, no. Yung amorphous, gulo-gulo siya, wala siyang formation. Meaning, ang ibig sabihin daw nito, konting energy lang yung kailangan to break down the bonds of each of the amorphous. Ano ibig sabihin nito? What does this mean when we talk about solubility? So yung mga crystalline in form, they tend to have higher na, I mean, pag sinabi ba, lower solubility. Meaning, hindi sila na-dissolve agad-agad. As compared to amorphous na form. So, if polymorphic yung inyong substance, so meron kang crystalline, meron kang amorphous, mixed together, iba-iba ang kanilang melting point for each other or dissolution na point for each other. So, iba-iba. That's why it's a physical incompatibility because they have different melting points, they have different solubility rather than those na iisa lang, no, ang kanilang shape. So, it's easier to dissolve, easier to reach its melting point. Example ng polymorphic would be your cocoa butter. Last type of incompatibility na physical, we have water loss. No, loss of water may cause dosage forms such as hard gelatin capsules to become dry and brittle with a possibility of cracking. Naalala niyo yung picture na napakita ko? Ito, oh. Cracking. Because of water loss. Yung inyong coating, nag-crack siya kasi dried up na siya. And that's a physical incompatibility. Balik tayo dito. And so when ointments undergo water loss, they crumble. When emulsions undergo water loss, they crack and break. For gels naman, they dry up. No? Syneresis. Okay. Chemical incompatibility tayo. There is a change in the composition of the substances. So common examples and simple examples, you have combustion. The generation of fire. Ayan, combustion. Rotting, no, like your fruits, and sa illustration ko, rotting. Rusting. Yan. So you have created rust. It has undergone a chemical process for it to be showing rust. Digestion din. That's a chemical process. No? Ayan. So chemical incompatibilities, there's a reaction between two or more substances which lead to change in chemical properties of a drug, which can result to the formation of a toxic or inactive product. So minsan negative yung inyong chemical incompatibility. because it can cause toxic na tuloy or inactive products. So what are these 5 conditions of chemical change? You have color change, which you can see on the illustration, no? So illustration sa baba, color change. Meron ding formation of a precipitate. So ayan, nakikita nyo, OA naman yung precipitate na yan. Formation of a gas, okay? Odor change, and temperature change. Sige. Let's start with your redox. Redox, no? Reduction and oxidation. In simple layman's term, ano ba yung oxidation? Ako ay isang substance. I will take oxygen from the atmosphere and put it into my structure. Ayan. Oxidation is a process whereby an atom increases the number of bonds it has to oxygen. And then it will now decrease the number of bonds it has to hydrogen. Or it loses electrons. In the opposite way, alam nyo na yung reduction gains electrons. It may result in new products that are not potent or as effective, not easily absorbed, or inactive form, unlike the pure drug. Kaya ayaw natin ma-oxidize or ma-reduce ang medication or the drug, no, in pharmacy. Oxidation examples. Alam niyo yung fats, let's say lard, no? Pag iniwan niyo lang siya dyan in the atmosphere, it will turn into rancid. Rancid is something mabaho na parang it's really it's degraded na talaga. Ayan. So, nag-decompose na. Because what happens? Through oxidation, the fats will now take out, di ba, oxygen from the atmosphere and put it into its structure. And in the end, it will now turn into rancid. Volatile oils, resins. Catecholamines, pink to brown color. Anong remedy nito? Mag-add ka ng chelating agents para hindi na masyadong gustong mag-bind ng sa atmosphere oxygen. Kuha ka ng oxygen, kuha ka ng oxygen. Kasi pag chelated na siya, busy na siya, hindi na siya kukuha ng oxygen. 'Di ba? So, pwede, chelating agents. Antioxidants naman, of course, no? For oxidation, you put an antioxidant. Use of amber-colored containers. Bakit? Because one type of oxidation is photodegradation. Ay, ibig sabihin nun. Diba? Photodegradation, it's because of the light. Kaya, amber-colored bottles or amber-colored containers could be a remedy. And then, kung kaya, exclusion of oxygen na lang talaga. Okay? Next would be acid-base hydrolysis. So, yung mga acid-base reactions kasi, these are the most common causes of drug incompatibility. Usually, when you mix acid and base, they form a precipitate, no? And then there will be a precipitation of non-ionized drug forms. So there would be this incompatibility may result in insoluble concentrations. Usually, ang acid and base na reaction will cause precipitation. And most of the time, itong precipitate na ito ay insoluble. Kaya it's a type of chemical incompatibility. Ito, I'm not sure if you've heard about solvolysis or solvolysis, but I know that you've heard of hydrolysis. Diba? Itong solvolysis lang, it's the bigger umbrella na term. Kasi it's the lysis, no? It's the lysis caused by solvents. Kaya solvolysis. Pag hydrolysis, it's the lysis that's caused by hydro, o yung hydro water. You know, so in this type of reaction, the active drug undergoes decomposition. Yan yung lysis. No? Following reaction with a solvent present. So yun lang naman pala yung meaning ng solvolysis. Hydrolysis lang din siya. Hydrolysis. Solvolysis. O, kayo na bahala kung ano yung pag-pronounce ninyo, ha? Usually, pag hydrolysis, ang solvent ay, of course, water. Kasi nga, hydro. But sometimes the reaction may involve pharmaceutical co-solvents, such as ethyl alcohol or polyethylene glycol. Pag yun ang nangyari, ang term natin dyan ay solvolysis. Kasi solvent. Okay, so continuing with solvolysis, these solvents can act as nucleophiles, attacking the electropositive centers in drug molecules. Ang mangyayari dito, there will really be decomposition. No? The most common solvolysis reactions encountered in pharmaceuticals are those involving labile carbonyl compounds such as esters, lactones, and lactams. So you read this again. No? What's the most common solvolysis reactions? Yan yung kung saan involved ang labile or labile, however you pronounce it, carbonyl compounds like esters, lactones, and lactams. Ito, photochemical degradation is a type of oxidation caused by, caused by light. Okay, so normal sunlight or room light, UV light, may cause substantial degradation of drug molecules. The energy from light radiation must be absorbed by the molecules to cause a photolytic reaction. So ito naman yung photolysis. O, alam niyo na yung lysis. Ano yung lysis? Meaning decomposition, degradation. Pag photo, light. Okay? Pag hydrolysis, ganun din, no? Caused by water na nag-decompose. And if that energy is sufficient to achieve activation, the degradation now of the molecule is possible. So photochemical degradation. So depende sa exposure and intensity of the light that is directed onto that substance. So your photolysis or photolysis reaction, photolysis, ayan, is associated with oxidation. Kaya nga I mentioned kanina na pwedeng amber-colored bottles ang remedy against oxidation. Because yung oxidation, it can be frequently initiated pala ng light. So they go hand in hand, no? Photolysis reactions that's associated with oxidation. Examples. So important for you to take note of the examples. So you have sodium nitroprusside, nifedipine, and riboflavin. So you have to store them in light-resistant containers or meaning mga amber-colored bottles or opaque. Chemical incompatibilities. So we have racemization. Ito yung optical, no, activation. So basahin natin, no. Yung racemization, this involves a conversion of an optically active substance into an optically inactive substance. Meaning, the change in optical activity results to a change in biological activity. Alam niyo yung levodopa, no? Yun, yung mga L tsaka D. Kasi, yan yung, no, ito yung examples ko ng best known racemization reaction of drugs are those that involve epinephrine, pilocarpine, and tetracycline. So example here, thalidomide. The R isomer of thalidomide, that's the therapeutic for leprosy. Kasi thalidomide is still a medication naman for leprosy patients. R isomer. Pero kapag S isomer daw, no, this is a teratogenic. Kaya one is harmful, one is therapeutic. In the same as naproxen, the same way. S isomer therapeutic. R isomer hepatotoxic. Okay, so most racemization reactions are catalyzed by acid and or by base. Chemical incompatibilities. We have gelatinization, no? When you mix acacia and iron, you get gelatinization daw. But then, when you mix acacia with bismuth, you get cementation. You take note of that, ha? Baka ang alam niyo sa acacia, mucilage siya. So, mucilage is gum in water. But then, pag acacia and iron, gelatinization. Pag acacia, tas ang kasama niya, bismuth, cementation pala. Okay, so please take note of that. Ito yung mga nuances na kailangan nyo din ma-differentiate. Kasi may mga trick question minsan, no? So, sana maalala nyo yung difference or yung mga distinctions. Yan. Polymerization, explosive mixture, no? Hindi mo hindi mo matansya na explosive pala yung ginagawa mo na mixture. You mix acid with a strong base, no, biglaan. That could be an explosive mixture and not just precipitation. And then you can develop something toxic, no, poisonous substance. Physical incompatibility, chemical incompatibility. Now we go to therapeutic incompatibility. Ito mabilis lang na discussion. So this is the modification, no, of the therapeutic effect of one drug by the prior concomitant administration of another. Meaning, there is an interaction between them. So it may be a result of prescribing certain drugs to a patient with the intent to produce a specific degree of pharmacological action, but have restore or intensity of the action produced is different from that intended by the prescriber. Let me just explain. Yung therapeutic incompatibility, ito yung mga drug interactions. But the thing about drug interactions, it doesn't necessarily mean na negative yung lahat ng drug interactions. Not all drug interactions are unwanted. Nakuha nyo? Because there could be drug interactions that are beneficial to the patient, to the treatment. So talking about therapeutic incompatibility, let's go to another subtopic of drug interactions. So your drug interactions, this is the reaction between two or more drugs or between a drug and a food, no? Pwedeng drug interaction, drug-food interaction, even drug-beverage interaction, drug-herb interaction. Alam nyo ba na meron ding drug laboratory test interaction? Ayan. So when you take a drug while having certain medical conditions also, so drug condition interaction, it can also cause a drug interaction. And drug interactions may make your drug less effective, cause unexpected side effects, or increase the activation of a particular drug. It may be harmful to patients. So polypharmacy can increase the risk of these drug interactions. Okay, so example, there could be etong drug interactions. To further learn about it, you have to know that there's pharmacodynamic interactions and pharmacokinetic interactions. For pharmacodynamic, ano nga yung ibig sabihin nun pag may letter D, what the drug does to the body? So meaning, eto, administration of NSAID and of aspirin. No? So merong NSAID and fenprocommon. Meron siyang additive reaction. Sige lang, I'll give you more examples later. What the drug does to the body. So it's more of the action of the drug. For pharmacokinetics, anything that has to do with your ADME. What's ADME? Absorption, distribution, metabolism, elimination. You can see in my slide there, no? Pharmacokinetic interactions occur at levels of absorption. For example, levothyroxine neutralizing antacids. Ang nangyayari kasi, 'di ba, ang levothyroxine, kailangan it should be taken before meals at an empty stomach. Because the absorption would be interfered by food or let's say antacids. So absorption, pharmacokinetic siya. Elimination, yan, digoxin and macrolides. Metabolism, as in the competition for cytochrome P450. So you remember that earlier. So causes of unwanted drug effects, take note nyo na lang, no, yung mga wrong choice of drug. And so self-explanatory naman tong slide na to, mga wrong route of administration. So there could be unwanted drug effects. So there are different drug interactions for therapeutic incompatibility. We have drug-drug interactions or DI. Occurs when two or more drugs react with each other. This drug interaction may cause you to experience an unexpected side effect. For DFI or drug-food interaction, kasama na dun yung beverage interactions. Drugs reacting with food or beverages. Say for example, ito very common talaga na example, di ba, in pharmacy. Warfarin tsaka vitamin K. Bakit ba? Yung warfarin is an anticoagulant, correct? No? Brand name, Coumadin. O, brush up din kayo sa brand generic ninyo, ha? Kasi may board exam 2013. Nilagay lang doon ng brand name. Or, parang innovator drug of clopidogrel. Parang ganun. Tapos yung answer doon is Plavix. So, yun yung brand. Pag alam niyo yung brand ng mga common ones, no? So, it could help you. Yun nga. So, warfarin is an anticoagulant. Opposite dyan, yung vitamin K, which causes coagulation. So, hindi ka naman iinom ng vitamin K at the same time iinom ng warfarin. But, your vitamin K can be found in green leafy vegetables. So, kapag umiinom ka ng warfarin, tapos kumakain ka pala ng green leafy vegetables, hindi mo alam na may vitamin K content yun. It will now interfere with the anticoagulant effect of your warfarin. So, yun. Kung gusto mo ng therapeutic effect ng warfarin. Pero, kapag you have reached the toxic level of warfarin naman and you need an antidote, vitamin K is to the rescue. So, yun. Depende na sa indication. Drug-food interaction. Okay. Another example. Something na positive. Griseofulvin. You've learned about this. Griseofulvin is better absorbed when there's fatty na mga environment. No? So sabi nila, when you take griseofulvin, take it with a fatty meal because it's absorbed better. So positive yun ang drug interaction. Drug condition interactions may occur when an existing medical condition makes certain drugs potentially harmful. Say, for example, you're really inherently high blood pressure na pagkatao, hypersensitivity, hypertensive ka na tao. Binigyan ka ng pampataas ng heart rate. So, drug condition interaction yun. Tataas at tataas, magkaka-stroke ka tuloy. Okay? Ito, no need to emphasize dito, factors affecting drug interactions. You have genes, gender. It's in the same way, no, patient-related factors that we talked about in toxicology. So for drug interactions, let's start with this one. No, this is when two or more drugs react with each other. And this drug interaction may cause you to experience an unexpected side effect. Okay? So again, pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic. Si pharmacokinetic involves ADME. Si pharmacodynamic could be subdivided into these three groups. Pwedeng direct effect at the receptor function, or pwedeng interference with a biological or physiological control process, and pwedeng additive or opposed pharmacological effect. So it's the drug, no? What the drug does to the body. Yan. Yung pharmacokinetic naman, what the body does to the drug. It does absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination or excretion. Eto, sino dito ang bida, sino dito ang kontrabida? Si precipitant drug tsaka si object drug. Basahin natin. Si precipitant drug, the medication responsible for affecting the pharmacologic action or the pharmacokinetic properties of the object drug. Responsible for affecting the pharmacologic action. So si precipitant ang kontrabida. Si object drug, wala. The drug for which the effect is altered, increased or decreased. Gusto lang sana ni object drug, kunin yung objective niya, no, na magbigay ng medication or treatment. Si precipitant drug, siya yung pakialamera. Ayan, no? So, affecting the pharmacologic action or the pharmacokinetic properties of the object drug. Eto, we've talked about this morning, so maybe I don't need to expound as much as I should, no? So, additive effect, 1 + 1 = 0. Potentiation, may isa na 0. Nadala lang ng peer pressure hanggang sa yung effect niya results when one substance that does not normally have toxic effect is added to another chemical, making the second chemical much more toxic. So, yun. Example natin kanina was isopropanol plus carbon tetrachloride. Carbon tetrachloride is a potent hepatotoxicant. Isopropanol, not so much. No, zero lang siya. Tung tinake sila together, potentiation yung effect. Antagonism is the opposite of synergism kasi 1 plus 1 equals 0, lesser. No? Pag synergistic naman, 1 plus 1 equals 3 or more. So, combined effect. So, ang gagawin ko na lang, magbibigay na lang ako ng examples, no, for you to also know. And maybe you can use it, no, pag may mga specific questions na examples ng additive, synergistic, yan, and etc. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Benzodiazepines plus antihistamines, we both know, no, na both of them, we all know that both of them are causing you to feel drowsy. So, increased sedation, additive effect lang ito. Beta blockers and non-dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers. It can cause heart block. Bakit? Nagdoble-doble na ang blockers mo that target the cardiac receptors. Okay? Ano yung non-dihydropyridine na calcium channel blockers? Verapamil and diltiazem. Ano naman yung dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers? Yan yung mga nag-e-end ng dipine, no? Amlodipine, nifedipine, nicardipine. Ayan. So, yan yung inyong mga dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers. Yung non-dihydropyridine, hindi naman sila nag-rhyme ng dipine. Pero calcium channel blockers pa din sila. And you give them both, dalawang blockers na, nag-heart block ka na tuloy. Okay? Eto. Number 3 example, beta blockers. Anong example ng beta blockers? Yung mga olol. Propranolol, metoprolol, ayan. Bismolol, ano pa, esmolol. Yan, yung mga olol-olol. It can decrease blood pressure. Eh yung zosine, terazosin. Okay? Your terazosin, that's an alpha blocker. And it's used for BPH. Ano tong BPH? Benign prostatic hyperplasia. So, kung ikaw ay may patient, no, na siya ay may BPH sa kanyang prostate, no, benign prostatic hyperplasia, binigyan mo siya ng terazosin. Tapos, si patient naman, hypertensive din, binigyan mo siya ng propranolol. Hindi mo alam na both of them can cause hypotension. So, ito naman, ang term dito is orthostatic hypotension. So, it has something to do with your posture na nagka-hypotension ka. Okay? Ito. Antidepressant plus azithromycin. Si azithromycin, by itself, siya ay cardiotoxic na antibiotic. So, masakit siya sa heart. Tapos, nag-add ka ng antidepressant. Nagpapadepress yan ng heart rate, di ba? Depressant. Or parang, ang feeling ko kasi yung antidepressant, nagpaparelax, di ba? Parang, so, yung state ng iyong heart ay medyo relax lang, ganyan. Tapos, binigyan mo ng cardiotoxic na azithromycin. Increased QT interval. Ano itong QT? Ito yung sinus rhythm nyo, di ba? Na PQRST wave. From Q tsaka T, prolonged. Meaning, magkaka-arrhythmia ka, dysrhythmia, dahil sa additive effect nito. Synergistic. Oh, this one. It's a positive synergistic effect. Yung inyong cotrimoxazole, that's sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. So, this is in your microbiome din, di ba? And it's bactericidal as compared to bacteriostatic. Okay, so cotrimoxazole yan. Now, you also have nitrates and sildenafil. Severe hypotension. Bakit ba? No? Severe hypotension na tuloy. Okay? So, synergistic effect. Antagonism dito, eto, si epinephrine. Ayan. Functional, physiologic, and receptor pharmacologic na type of antagonism dito sa drug interaction. So, functional antagonism, di ba? Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, opposite effect lang talaga. Magbibigay ka ng CNS stimulant, tapos magbibigay ka ng CNS depressant. So, functional antagonism siya. Okay? So, eto. Ayun nga, ito yung example ko dito, oh, yung OHA, oral hypo, yun, mga insulin, oral hypoglycemic agents, tsaka insulin. They will lower, no, hypoglycemia. Can you see it? Tapos si glucocorticoid, magbibigay ka din nun. Stimulate gluconeogenesis, meaning increase yung anyong blood sugar tuloy. So, opposite talaga sila, functional antagonism. Meron ding receptor antagonism, opposite effect at same receptors. We have opiates and naloxone. Diba? Ano yung antidote ng opioid poisoning? That's naloxone. Your answer there should be naloxone. Potentiation na may meme pang kasama na medyo outdated na tong meme na ito. No? Pero it really shows you na, ayan nga, yung inyong levodopa plus carbidopa, it will increase the half-life of levodopa. Ayan. Kasi before si levodopa dumaan sa blood-brain barrier, ma-breakdown siya ng dopa decarboxylase. Di na tuloy makukuha yung levodopa effect. But when you add carbidopa into it, no, it will increase the half-life of levodopa. Wala nang say si dopa decarboxylase. And kaya you see the illustration there. Yan yung nangyari dyan. Si carbidopa, ang target niya dyan, si dopa decarboxylase. Diba? Pag mga ACE, mga metabolite enzymes yan. Ayan. Ano pa bang kailangan nating i-emphasize? Ayan, aminoglycoside and it causes ototoxicity. Take note na lang dito, pag tinanong aminoglycoside, you associate it with ototoxicity. Tapos, yung loop diuretics itself, it can cause ear fluid imbalance. Pero hindi siya ototoxic. That's why it's potentiation. Kasi when you add loop diuretics and aminoglycoside, it will increase ototoxicity tuloy. Kahit si loop diuretics by itself, ear fluid imbalance lang naman. Okay, so I hope you got that. Pharmacokinetics, ito ADME. Absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So, sa absorption, no, another factor that modifies the drug absorption is the formation of complexes. And so in this case, yung tetracycline, doxycycline, tsaka minocycline, kailangan it should not be taken with calcium, magnesium, aluminum, and iron. Bakit? These are metal ions that will now form complexes with tetracycline. And what will happen? It will be poorly absorbed. Di siya ma-absorb in the body kasi nga malalaking molecules na siya, naging complex na siya. So consequently, certain drugs like antacids, magnesium salts, aluminum and calcium preparations containing iron can significantly reduce the tetracycline's absorption. So motility disorders. There are drugs that can increase the gastric transit. And there are also drugs that can decrease, no? Ay, ibig sabihin kasi, pag mabilis yung gastric transit nyo, konti lang yung contact time ng medication in your mucosal area. Okay? Kaya, yung absorption niyan, decrease yung drug absorption tuloy. So, I hope you get it, no? Na parang, ang bilis nung gastric emptying, dumaan lang bigla yung medication, hindi na siya properly na-absorb sa gastrointestinal area. Decrease yung kanyang drug absorption. So, it's one of the drug interactions that you have to take note in absorption. Ito, alteration of GI flora. So, may mga medications, no, na kailangan ng the normal flora in the body for it to be absorbed. Okay? So, your vitamin K, no, it produces normal flora. Tapos, pag nag-inom ka ng antibiotics, it usually kills normal flora that produces vitamin K. Ayan. And when you take it with anticoagulants, you just revisit the slide lang ha, decreased vitamin K and increased risk of bleeding. Kasi wala kang masyadong vitamin K to neutralize. Pero of course, you don't want large doses of vitamin K, no, when taking it. So let's go to distribution. So not all, but mostly, acidic drugs are bound to albumin. And basic drugs are bound to alpha acid glycoprotein, lipoproteins, or both. Now, only unbound drug. Ito sa biopharm nyo din kasi to. Only unbound drug is available for passive diffusion to extravascular or tissue sites. Meaning, yung mga unbound drug lang ang na-absorb. Kapag bound sila, like bound to albumin, ganun, hindi pa sila first priority para ma-absorb in the mucous membrane or into the extravascular space. Saan ba yung extravascular space? Sa body tissues. Okay. So, distribution. Ito. Ano bang kailangang i-emphasize dito? Albumin represents the most prominent protein in plasma. Kaya minsan, no, ang alam ko, ang nangyayari in the real world, yung Lasix, furosemide, kailangan nun ng albumin para mabigay yung effect niya. So, the patient has to have sufficient protein. Kapag wala, ang nangyayari, para lang mabigay yung furosemide, magbibigay din ng albumin at the same time na IV. Ang mahal-mahal nun. Parang, I'm just giving you a glimpse of the real practice. Okay? Metabolism. So, ito na pag-usapan na natin to, yung mga cytochrome P450 isozymes, which I actually included this slide, diba? If you remember this one kanina. Tama? So, the CYP enzyme family plays a dominant role in the biotransformation of a wide number of drugs. No? So, in man, there are about 30 CYP isoforms. Pero ito nga yung pinaka-common, CYP1A2, CYP2C9, CYP2C19, tsaka CYP3A4. Ang nakikita nyo dyang drugs, yan yung kanilang substrate. Ano nga ulit yung substrate? That's the molecule that the enzyme interacts with. Any substance that reacts to the active site of an enzyme, that's your substrate. So a chemical bond now is formed between the active site tsaka yung substrate nyo. And it is now called the enzyme catalyzed reaction. So yan yun. Metabolism, meron dito in this process, no, inhibition. Inhibition ng enzyme inhibition and enzyme induction. Pag inhibition, reduced yung enzyme activity dito kasi nga inhibited, no? Due to direct interaction with the drug, usually begins with the first dose of the inhibitor, while the extinction of inhibition is related to the drug's half-life. Example ko kanina was HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. So, yun. Pag mga reductase, yung mga ACE ang last, dehydrogenase, ayan, mga enzymes usually yan. Okay. O ito, please take note sa last part to. Omeprazole, a CYP2C19 inhibitor, decreases the antiplatelet activity of clopidogrel by inhibiting the biotransformation of clopidogrel prodrug into its active metabolite. Let me break it down for you. Si clopidogrel, ano yun? Anticoagulant. Antiplatelet rather. Diba? Antiplatelet si clopidogrel. Brand name, Plavix. Okay? Ang nangyayari dyan, si clopidogrel, kailangan niya si CYP2C19 para siya ay maging active metabolite. Kasi prodrug lang si clopidogrel na iniinom. Pero, since magte-take ka ng omeprazole, which is a CYP2C19 inhibitor, hindi na ma-breakdown yung prodrug ng clopidogrel to its active metabolite. So, it will not be absorbed into the body na tuloy. Wala nang anti-platelet activity na mangyayari. That's why omeprazole and clopidogrel are not to be given together. Okay. Kasi nga, dahil sa inhibition. Okay, so sa induction naman, enzyme inducer, ang nangyayari doon, it increases the activity. So opposite, di ba? Pero ang danger dyan, increases the activity. And so ang dami-daming enzymes no ng 2C19. Oh, let's say for example yung sa clopidogrel. Nagbigay ka ng enzyme inducer, ang dami ng 2C19. So yung metabolization, no? Yun ba yung term na? Pag may metabolize ng clopidogrel, mabilis. So the antiplatelet effect is suddenly increased and bleeding may be experienced. So yun din yung danger of enzyme induction. So yun, todo-todo naman yung effect. Excretion, the kidney is the organ responsible for the elimination. So say for example, amoxicillin, and then you drink it with methotrexate. What will happen is it decreases the renal clearance of methotrexate, and it can lead to toxicity of methotrexate or prolonged effect of methotrexate. Kasi probably by competition daw at the common tubular secretion system. Yun yung nangyayari. Pharmacokinetics, no? However, this competition between drugs can be exploited for therapeutic purposes. No? So, hindi naman negative lahat. For example, ito, when I was reviewing, it's also another thing I had to remember. So, please remember nyo din while you are reviewing right now. For example, probenecid. No? Probenecid can increase the serum concentration of penicillins and cephalosporins, delaying their renal excretion and thus saving in terms of dosage. So, ito yun. Take note of that. Wait lang. May pharmacodynamics pa. Ayan, pharmacodynamics. Pharmacodynamic interactions are those in which drugs influence each other's effects directly. No, a pharmacodynamic interaction is actually desired if mutually potentiating effects in the same direction, like synergistic, are aimed, anti-infectives or in pain therapy. When the effect of one drug is impeded by another, the effect of these drugs are antagonistic. So, basically, sa pharmacodynamics, makikita nyo din yung additive effect, synergistic effect, potentiation, tsaka antagonism. Nandito din yun. So, examples. Fluoroquinolones, and you take it with a macrolide, like erythromycin. The effect there would be QT prolongation. How about this one? ACE inhibitors, and then you add potassium-sparing diuretics like amiloride. There will be increased potassium retention up to the point na mag-hyperkalemic na si patient. Diba? The problem with diuretics kasi, when you drink diuretics, you wee-wee, no? You induce urination. Tapos, na-urinate ng tao kasama yung mga electrolytes. And magha-hypokalemic. That's why the pharmacy world has developed potassium-sparing diuretics like amiloride or spironolactone. But the danger there was if you give another medication that increases potassium, tas meron ka pang potassium-sparing diuretics, so there's a danger of hyperkalemia naman. No? So ang gulo-gulo lang ng pharmacy world. Pero in the end, kayang-kaya namang basahin lahat siguro, no? So you give yourself time to read and review. Kasi nga, what I say to my students, 2 P lang yan. Prayer tsaka preparation. Yung prayer, pwede nyo siyang i-delegate, no? Delegate nyo na lang sa kapatid nyo, sa mga kapatid, sa pamilya nyo. Kayo na bahalang mag-pray para sa akin. Pero yung preparation, hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin, ma, ikaw na nga magbasa nung toxicology para sa akin. Sa inyo lang yun. Prayer and preparation. Si preparation, kayo lang yun, no? Kayo magte-take ng exam. So, it's between you and the exam. Kalimutan nyo na yung mga distractions. Tsaka practice ng shading. Okay? So, I will leave you with this illustration kasi kanina I talked about lethal injection. And I will end this one with something that will end someone. Okay? So, ang unang step dyan, to sedate. Oh. Ito in relation to toxicology din to. To sedate, so meaning, you give something na sedative. And usually, ang ginagamit is midazolam. And then, another one, no, to paralyze the muscles, di ba? Kasi matutulog na si criminal. Tapos, kailangan, humane kasi, no? Dapat hindi unethical. No? Dapat ethical yung pagkamatay nung yung lethal injection. To paralyze muscles, so at least you now know, no, it's the coronium bromide. No? You will never know if this would be asked, no? So, ayan. And then the last one there, potassium chloride to stop the heart. Because we were talking about IV kanina, di ba? Intravenous na bolus. Okay? So that's for lethal injection. 3 steps yan. Nakikita nyo sa syringe, pero hindi dapat naka one syringe lang ha. For illustration purposes lang yan. Okay. So I hope for one way or another, no, may napulot kayo for this 6 hours natin na discussion. So I want to thank you all for sitting through a Sunday review, no, and hopefully you'll take time also to review on your own then, and not just rely on lectures lang din, no, supplementation lang. So hand in hand. Yun nga, preparation and prayer, and preparation is all up to you. So I wish you good luck, no? Para sa inyong future, near future. Ayan. So, nandyan na talaga yan. It's all up to you na lang. Okay. Ano bang tips? Ayun nga yung tips ko kanina na you remember, ano nga yung sabi ko ulit? Una, you have to know mga also known as, no? Magagamit nyo to sa ibang modules, also known as, yung mga trivia. Tapos, pagdating sa toxicology, read lang sa materials nyo on what are those na, pareho nung mga tables na binigay ko, kung ano yung endpoint, no? Kasi ganun minsan eh. And don't forget about the mga tao din, yung mga sa history. Sinasama din nila yun minsan. Okay? Tsaka ano pa? Yun, just focus lang and then think of it na this is it na talaga. No, wala kang, parang 110% na talaga. Kasi minsan may 3% ka pang iiwan na, uy, baka hindi talaga ito yun. Pero wag nyo isipin yun. Isipin nyo, ito na yun. Okay? So, good luck everyone and thank you for staying on a Sunday, no? So, I wish you all the best and bye-bye. Ayan.